Healthy habits. If we go online and search for habits to do, this is what happens. Hundreds of posts with ideas of habits that may change our life. In fact, this has 192. And I don't know about you, but this feels overwhelming. So this will happen a couple of years ago, but I decided to do what James Clear says in his blog, to dream big, but to start small. And that is what I did. I tried to start with the highest leverage habit and build from there. And now 2 years have passed, and I want to share with you the highest leverage habits that I have found, why they are important, and the tool that has helped me all along to make them stick. Let's get into it. The first habit that I incorporated was exercise. Because for me, exercise is not just having a sexy body, which I have, but it's also about being healthy. First of all, I have found that exercise improves my mood. I have noticed that every time that I stop going to the gym for some weeks, I will get a little bit crankier. And maybe this will result in some fight with my girlfriend, so this keeps me motivated to go to the gym. Exercising also brings me higher energy, which results in, after every lunch, not feeling sleepy, and helps my mind to be even more sharp and focused. And I haven't done the math, but my gut feeling tells me that the time spent doing exercise is time that I'm going to save by being more productive in the work later. And if you struggle with doing exercise often, I would recommend you to start small. Maybe just buy some elastic bands that you can use at home, so you are saving the commute time. Or if you find that boring, maybe just go to some collective class. But remember, just start small and build from there. The second highest leverage habit that I have been following since I can remember has been meditating. If doing exercise is primarily gym for the body, meditating is like gym for the mind. And the kind of meditation that I do is called Vipassana. And its objective is to focus on our meditation object, which in my case I use my breath because it's always there, for as long as we can, and that is it. And what is going to happen is that we are gonna go through 3 steps all the time. First, we're gonna be focusing on our breath, then our minds will start to wander, and then we will become aware of that and go back to our breathing, over and over. And I have found that each of these 3 steps has a benefit. By focusing on our breath, we are improving our ability to focus for long periods of time, which in the time of social media and the internet is very, very useful and necessary. Then our mind wandering can be turned into an idea goldmine, because it is in those moments when I tend to come up with a lot of ideas for my business, for my personal life. So what I do is whenever I go to meditate, I always bring a notebook or my phone, so I have something to write things on. Because sometimes I will just trust that by the end of the session, I will remember that idea, but most often than not, I don't. So now I always write them down. And finally, by being aware of whenever our mind starts to wander, we're in fact improving our self-awareness. And as a result, we are gonna start being more self-aware of whatever happens around us. And will even give us extra time to react to external events, so we can actually have more power in deciding what to do instead of just reacting unconsciously. And as a bonus, after meditating for long term, and this can mean months or even years, something that is going to start to happen is going to be much easier to live in the present moment and to just contemplate what is around us and to stop our mind from thinking, which is going to prove that every moment is just good as it is. It was the hardest habit that I have tried to make stick. I don't know exactly why. Probably it's because we need also silence, and that is quite hard to get. But the best way to get started is just to do short sessions of maybe 5 minutes, and then we can start increasing our time with that. Now I actually do 15 minutes. The third habit has been reading. I have always read non-fiction books since I can remember, but since I work for myself, this has been proven to be a very good way to get new ideas for my business, and that of course can be turned into earning more money. Of course, reading books can also help us to be focused for extended periods of time. And if we join this with meditation, this can turn into a superpower even. And reading can also help us improve our critical thinking, because we will be exposed to different ideas and sometimes they are even going to be contradictory, and this will prompt us to think by ourselves. Okay, so all of that is for non-fiction, but I have found that reading fiction before going to bed is super helpful to help me wind down and actually slow my brain down and go to sleep. And I have found a big difference from the nights that I don't read before going to bed versus the nights that I do read. My sleep quality is so much better when I read. My main non-fiction recommendations will be The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Almanak of Naval, Ravikant, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and Crucial Conversations, which you can all find in the description of the video. And for fiction, it will be the Wheel of Time series and Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. So how to get started? I have seen in the productivity space a lot of people just focusing on the number of books that they read per year. But I find that this is not very helpful because every book has a different length, and even the focus shouldn't be on finishing them. It should be in getting the most out of them. And that will mean taking notes, playing with ideas, connecting those ideas with previous ideas that we had, and that takes time. And I feel that if I have a number of books that I have to finish per year, I will just rush through them so I can get to that number. But that will defeat the whole purpose of reading. So my approach is different. It's a gradual approach. It's just to spend 30 minutes per day reading, and it doesn't matter how many books I finish, even if I finish just one book per year. But I would have dedicated 30 minutes per day to it. And I find this much more manageable to get started rather than putting some random number of books per year. And finally, the habit of writing. This was the last habit that I incorporated. I started writing in a journal, and then I moved to Notion, then I moved back to a journal because Notion was not doing it for me, and now I'm journaling in Rome, which has helped me stick to the habit like nothing else. And the only reason is because in Rome, you can focus on a block and everything else disappears. And I can write practically in a blank screen with no distractions. And the way I do it is I just sit down and start writing whatever pops in my mind. Sometimes I even don't finish my sentences because some new thought comes up and it looks more interesting. So I'm just gonna follow that thought. Because remember, nobody's going to read it and it doesn't even have to make any sense. The purpose is just to write without judgment. And I have found that this exercise has helped me to understand myself more and why I do what I do. For example, if I've had a difficult conversation with someone, I'm gonna write about it. If I don't know how to proceed with my business, I'm gonna write about it. If I feel that my relationship with someone is not as good as I want, I'm gonna write about it. And this gives me a lot of clarity. And one thing that I like about writing is that it's slower than thinking, so I can take longer to elaborate my thoughts, which gives me the extra time to actually look deeper into them and understand them better. Another benefit from writing is that I also learn how to structure better my ideas, because I wasn't born explaining myself very well. In fact, I mostly stutter and I don't know how to explain things well. But by writing, I'm finding that this is getting a little less hard for me, and I'm actually improving bit by bit. And finally, my writing also helps me to prepare myself for work. And why? Because I always write before getting to work. So whenever I'm writing, my brain, I think, is already programming itself to start working. And I have found that the days that I don't write, I'm super unfocused at work. But now, if you haven't managed to even stick to one habit, maybe 4 habits may be also too much for you. So I would recommend to just start with one. And in my personal opinion, that will be exercise. Because I think once you have mastered being consistent with doing exercises, the rest of the habits will be much easier, because all your body and even your mind will start to feel better. So it's gonna be much easier. And if you need any extra help with making them stick, as I hinted in the beginning of the video, I have a tool that has been helping me for over a year now, and that is my habit tracker, which you can find as a Notion template in the description of this video. Or if you are interested in knowing exactly how it works, you can go to this video over here, where it's fully explained. So that is it for the video, guys, and as always, hasta la próxima.